Hello, coin droppers, and welcome back to the Coin Drop Podcast. This is episode number 77, and joining me back with us again, here to edit, here to co-host, to fill in for Tim, Mike has returned. Mike, it's been a while, my dude. It's been like it's been like 10 or 15 episodes. It's been a while.
Has it been that long?
It's been a while. It's been a couple months. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. It has been. Yes.
I feel like the last one you edited was in like around episode 66. I could be wrong, but I remember. Yeah.
Actually, I think it was because I made the joke execute order 66.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like that was the last time we had you. But welcome back, man. I'm glad you're out the other end. And I'm looking forward to not doing the editing anymore, as I'm sure our audience is. So
just imagine all of the people that had their deafening ears. They're so relieved now.
I think actually most of the time I feel like my mix was too soft. So I don't know. But our editor is back. Tim kind of conveyed this, but clarified over on our Discord that he would be out tonight because it's his anniversary. So he's out doing fun things with the wife. So tonight you've got me and Mike, and a little bit of housekeeping before we jump into it. If you don't know what's going on, we are not going to be streaming an episode on the 14th. If Mike and Tim can, they will. That announcement will be made on the Discord, but generally I'm the one that streams it from my rig. So if they do it, we'll have to figure out how to coordinate that. But as of right now, there will be no stream on the 14th. There will be a recorded episode, so it will be on our YouTube as well as the audio side. You can find out more about that and come chat with us on our Discord. If you need the link for that, you can go to linktree.com/coindropvets. That has all of our links to our merch, our YouTubes, all the stuff, as well as our Patreon at patreon.com/coindroppod, where you get some extra content, as well as upcoming games for the week that look interesting to myself and Mike in this case, most times Tim, but whoever's on the show. That's who we kind of look over the games, curate them, pick out what looks cool to us, interesting, whether it's indie, AAA, doesn't matter. We talk about them over there, provide links to the Steam store or whatever store you can purchase it at. And yeah, it's good stuff over there. For $3 a month, it's a good deal. So with that, I don't really have any other housekeeping. Let's go ahead and jump into our first topic for tonight. Sony has expressed intent and interest in buying Dark Souls studio from Software. So the internet is kind of blowing up about this.
Not from Software, their parent company, Kadokawa.
Right. Sure, yeah. They want to buy everything.
They want to buy the world.
Well,
Microsoft couldn't do it, so they're going to do it.
So it's well within, like, people are saying like it's already done, it's already happened, and it's been made very clear that nothing has been confirmed. Kadokawa has not agreed to the sale yet at all. They literally just got a letter that said, hey, we'd like to buy you. That's the extent of what we know.
At the beginning of this week.
Yeah. So
I don't even think they've responded yet. They just said that they got the letter.
Right. The CEO has said, I think in an article I read earlier, that they haven't responded. He hasn't decided. There's been no decision made. I don't even know if they've had time to consider and have a conversation about it yet. The rest of the internet's blowing up thinking like, oh, this means that all the future Souls-like games are going to be exclusive to Sony. Well, while From Software made that style of that genre of game, they made it popular, doesn't mean other people can't make it. Liza P wasn't made by From Software, right? That was a different company. So they don't own that franchise. Lords of the Fall, or own that genre. You can't own a genre of games. So it doesn't necessarily mean all the Soulsborne games are going to be exclusive to Sony, even if they do buy it. So I don't know. I think it's a lot of people jumping the gun. I don't know what your thoughts are.
This is an Xbox.
God damn it, Mike.
That promotional marketing is so dumb.
It's very stupid. For those of you who did not listen to last week's episode, I encourage you to go find out what that's about if you somehow haven't heard. We talked about that last week. I don't know. I'm kind of personally over Souls style games. I don't enjoy that level of complexity and difficulty in gaming anymore as a father and a husband and having so many daily responsibilities and projects. I want to enjoy the roughly hour a night I sacrifice of sleep to play video games. And that just getting pounded over and over and over again in the asshole by a boss who like I just missed the dodge by a fraction of a frame does not sound like a good time to me. Like, I mean, I'm a masochist with the best of them. I have hundreds of hours invested in PUBG, but that's just not something I want to do anymore.
Yeah, no. I think the last Souls, which actually was from Software. I fucking hate saying that.
Yeah.
The last Souls game from them that I was actually interested in was S.T.A.L.K.E.R, and I played it for like maybe 15 hours before I just stopped playing it because I fucking couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Elden Ring I've played, but like maybe like an hour at most.
See, I played Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. I played Bloodborne, never beat Bloodborne. Everybody's like, oh, it's the best. And I'm just like, meh, yeah, okay. Sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I love the style. I love the art. I love the idea of it. I just, again, the best version of these games for me is Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. Because they take just enough of it that like once you get good at the parry mechanic, you're good for the rest of the game. I've beaten those games. Well, not the second one, but I beat the first one on master level difficulty. And it really just comes down to good timing for the parry for most things. But it's not so complicated that it's brutally punishing the way like a normal Souls game is. And I'm sure there's people out there that are like, oh, you bitch. Fine, whatever. But that's I want to enjoy my time. Get good, scrub. Yeah, all right.
I haven't beaten Jedi Survivor yet. I think I had EA Play Pro at the time.
Gotcha.
And the game just like ran like garbage. It wasn't optimized that well. So after about 4 hours, I was just like, I'm done trying to play the game when it crashes every 30 minutes and I have to figure out why it's stuttering and then it just crashes again. So I'll just come back to it.
Yeah.
And I never did.
Yeah.
Stuff to go and
I was all set to buy it when it came out. And then EA literally came out and said, hey, the PC version of this game isn't as good as it should be. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm not going to buy it then.
I think I also went on like a whole fucking rant in the Discord about how like awful it was.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Because it was like, it was stupid because you would get in sections where the game would run completely fine. And then you would get into like an open field area where, because they expanded on like the open world part of it more. Mm-hmm. And all of those sections just ran like dog shit.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter if you ran it on like the lowest setting or the highest setting. It just wouldn't scale to the hardware.
Just poor optimization and shit, I guess. Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more about kind of the consolidation we're seeing with the industry. This graphic that's up right now for our visual viewers and listeners is one we've had up on the screen before. If you're a longtime fan and have seen some of our older content, you've probably seen it before. Tim and I found this a long time ago when we started talking about the Activision Blizzard purchase by Microsoft. And we mentioned the consolidation of the industry, and it's kind of still very much relevant with Sony and Microsoft competing as hard as they are. There's talks that Tencent is going to go in with Ubisoft to purchase up the rest of their stock and go back to being a private company instead of a public company. There's potential for a lot of companies to be bought. And it really feels like Microsoft is taking that approach. So Sony's kind of getting their hand forced into having to take that approach as well. I don't know if that's actually the case. I'm not smart enough to understand that level of business. Though I don't understand the amount of people mad at Sony for buying or wanting to buy Kadokawa when really the same people were all for Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. Seems kind of two-faced, in my opinion. But
it's because they want Microsoft to succeed, and they don't think that Sony should have any skin in the game. Essentially,
I guess I don't understand the idea there. I think with exclusion to Bloodborne, I think most of their games in the last generation have released on PC at this point. Like most of their first party games.
Yeah.
So I don't know why
For the
they
most
would.
part.
Yeah, I think Demon Souls, which I think that was a console exclusive specifically to sell the PS5, which could still come to PC at some point.
It was slated. I think isn't it already on PC?
No, Demon Souls, the PS5 remake, I guess, is not on PC. Neither is Bloodborne, but those are the only two games I can think of that are not on.
Bloodborne won't come to PC just because
it's too old at this point.
They literally just can't port it.
Right. Yeah. Which is
Not that
fine.
They don't want to. It's that they literally fucking can't.
Again, which is fine. Like, fuck it. Who cares? I guess people who are really wanting to play Bloodborne, but like PS4 is old at this point. Go buy a PS4 and buy the game.
And even the PS4 version of the game is still just PS3 emulated. So just you can buy a PS3 at GameStop for like $40.
God, that was a cross-platform game, wasn't it? Holy shit. Yeah. I was like, wait, what?
It's just PS3 emulated with the checkerboard upscaling, so it can output air quotes 4K.
Right, air quotes. But I don't know. Just because a company wants to buy another company doesn't mean that company is going to sell to that company. So
I know.
We'll see what happens. I think it's a possibility, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen. I don't really have a whole lot more to say on that.
If it does happen, I want Bloodborne 2.
We'll
and
probably
I want
get
it to
it.
be the first game that they drop.
Well,
yes.
What they need to do is bring back Tenchu. Sony will once again have the rights to Tenchu. Look, man, you don't understand the greatness of Rikimaru, Tatsumaru, and Ayame. And I get it. You didn't live it. But god damn it. It's so good. Dude, all right, let's do this. What's your top ninja game of all time? What's your favorite ninja game of all time?
Lately?
Of all time.
Ghost of Tsushima, ironically.
Okay. Ghost of Tsushima drives a lot from Tenchu in its stealth mechanics. Yeah. A lot. Yeah. So like,
and it's not even like a quote unquote ninja game. It's just feudal Japan era samurai stuff.
Yeah. So I think I've said this before in Tenchu 2 Birth of the Stealth Assassins, which was a prequel to the first one, which was just Stealth Assassins. Rikimaru, which is one of the characters you can play as, has a specific assassination move, right? Where you literally, I can't remember which direction it was, but the way that game worked was depending on what angle of attack you took against an enemy, whether you dropped down on them or came at them from a side or a front assassination, you do different animations. And
interesting.
In the second one, they took it even further to where like the angle and the speed also mattered. So like they added a bunch of animations, and there was one with Rikimaru where if you came around a corner really quick, I believe it was if you came around a corner, if you were like sprinting, come around a corner and hit a guy before he can notice you, Rikimaru just grabs the dude's arm as he goes to pull his sword, spins it, dislocates his shoulder, throws him into the ground, then snaps his arm in half, and then just starts breaking all his bones, folding this guy in half. And it was the most bloody, amazing shit I had ever seen as a 7-year-old. Like, oh my god, this game is amazing.
Now I know why you want it back.
Yes, dude, the stealth assassinations.
Specifically for that takedown.
Yes, that takedown was epic. Like, you want to talk about some serious stuff where I'm like, I probably shouldn't be playing this. That was that game. But I mean, it was great. Tenchu Z is, I think, the most modern. Not everybody, but a lot of people know that, and it got a lot of hate from like the hardcore fans of Tenchu. But honestly, it was actually a very fun game. It had multiplayer, and you played as a new character. It had a whole different story, and Rikimaru was kind of your sensei. But even that was fun. You had character creation, you had multiplayer. It was actually, in my opinion, really fun. And Tenchu was kind of the first game in the stealth world that I felt did stealth right, where like they actually had shadows and you had to be in the shadows. And I feel like that mechanic would work so much better in modern gaming with global illumination. And at that time you couldn't affect lighting. Like Splinter Cell was the first game that let you affect lighting, and Tenchu predates Splinter Cell. So it's just like it feels like a game rife for a perfect remake with modern tech. It could be amazing.
Yeah, there was I'm gonna kind of digress here a little bit, but Modern Warfare 2019, there was a mission towards the end of the game where basically you're by yourself and you're infiltrating a compound, an enemy compound, and it's a full stealth mechanic. Like you have to shoot out the street lights, just shoot out the lights in the those little entryways around like the what's the term I'm thinking of? Because it's the mansions. They have like the big open areas where like you can sit on benches, gardens, and things.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's like a garden. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it felt so much like old school Splinter Cell when I played that mission.
Yeah.
And it was the first game in a long time that used modern tech of global elimination and dynamic lighting and dynamic destruction physics like that.
Yeah.
To completely just go full stealth, put on your NPGs, just start wrecking shit. It was perfect.
Nice. Yeah, Tenchu, I think, also did combat really well because like they didn't just fail your mission. So one of the biggest things with say Star Wars Outlaws, right, was when stealth is not optional, you automatically fail when you get discovered in that game, which they're changing. I personally don't agree with that change.
I think they actually just pushed the patch.
They may have.
They're pushing it this weekend.
Yeah. I personally don't agree with that, but I get why a lot of people don't like that. It's a very old school way of things. Tenchu didn't do that. When you broke stealth, they just made it so you actually just kind of sucked in combat. And the reason for that is you're a ninja going against samurai. Your stealth, they're, Bushido. They're 20 steps ahead of you. So of course you're going to suck in actual combat. Your skill is killing them without being seen. So the game did a really good job of like making you just kind of shit if you didn't do stealth. And I think that was a mechanic that worked really well at the time. So I don't know. I don't have a whole lot more to say on this. Bring back Tenchu if you're going to buy From Software.
Yeah. Just do it. Damn it.
I'll get off my soapbox. But speaking of things companies should do and potentially listening to their fans, Fable has some new information for us. This was actually brought to my attention by one of our patrons. Chris shared this with me. So Jez Corden, a Xbox guy, I guess, like he's kind of like the guy. Most people know him in the industry. He does a podcast called Xbox 2, and he talked about how the footage he saw. Mike, what the hell are you doing? Jesus Christ, this man just blew up his camera. Just took it down. He quit. Threw it on the ground. He's upside down. I don't know what the fuck is happening anymore. 77 episodes, ladies and gentlemen, and we're still fucking with shit.
Yep, we're still in beta.
Still in beta. So Jez said he saw some footage recently. He doesn't know how old the footage is or how new it is, but it looks really solid. He said the game looks, I believe the direct quote he says, yep, looks fantastic. Those were his words. Said it has some CD Projekt Red DNA in it, and that's probably because of some of the team that they hired are veterans from CD Projekt Red. Playground Games, the company making it, as we know, they kind of built their franchise on Forza. So when they announced that they were doing the new Fable, everybody's like, okay, but they do racing games. Weird transition. But from what they showed at the Summer Games Fest, other than the lead protagonist, everything honestly looked really good. So I'm not surprised that Jez says the game looks great. Combat looks something a la Witcher, but not quite. And it makes sense because I don't know if you've played the older Fables, Mike, if you played that franchise at all.
Oh, yeah. I played all three of them on the 360.
Okay, so the combat was pretty generic. It was dodge, parry, light attack, heavy attack, range attack, magic. Like, it was very basic. So
it is very press the button and the game does the rest for you.
Right. So them going with a more Witcher style combat is really interesting to me. I'm actually very excited to hear that. But the one thing that really gives this game hope for me is either Playground listened to their fans and the backlash about the incredibly horribly ugly protagonist that they made, or they had this planned all along and for some reason didn't tell us. It was confirmed that there will be character selection. That's big news.
But my question is, character selection doesn't directly translate to character customization.
Correct. It doesn't. However, one of my biggest gripes about this franchise when they showed it was that they said nothing about that. And ever since Fable 2, it's been a staple for you to be able to choose between male and female. So I'm happy to hear that there is character selection. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that there's a male and female protagonist to choose from. This could be you have a couple of presets for your female to choose from, which feels more weird than just having a male and female. So we don't know exactly what this means, character selection. It could be male or female, which is what this franchise has done in the past. That's my hope. A step further than that I'm hoping for is multiple versions of a male and female. Different ethnicities, different skin colors, different hair, different whatever, right? Like have a couple of presets for each of them and I'm good to go. Now, I don't know if they're going to go that route because if I remember correctly, all the facial animations are mocapped. So that means they have to have multiple different actors for potentially each of these character faces, unless they developer somehow maps multiple faces to one face. I'm sure that's something that can be done. I don't know. Anything can be done, right?
I mean, is it being built in an in-house engine or are they using Unreal?
I'm pretty sure it's an in-house engine. What engine?
Because if they're using Unreal Engine, they could use the MetaHuman API, which would make it super easy to just give it a base based on the mocap, and then people can just fuck with it.
So yes, they are using an in-house engine, and you're gonna fucking laugh. They're using the Forza engine. It's Forza Tech is the engine they're using. They're using a racing game engine for an action RPG, which admittedly, like the game looks beautiful graphically. What a weird thing to do, though.
What's funny is I'm thinking back to the Forza Horizon series, which you get to actually pick your character in that.
Okay.
I don't know about Motorsport.
Yeah.
But you can't customize shit. You can do like eye color, and like I think in the recent game they added some like handicap accessibility stuff. So like if you happen to be someone that lost their arm, and you have like a prosthetic, you can pick a prosthetic for that arm in the game. But that's like the gist of the actual character, like the body customization. Everything else is just clothes and cosmetics.
Right. So what we've known about Fable in the past is your customization came in like hairstyles, right? More than anything, hair and armor and clothes, right? So as long as it sticks to what Fable was, I don't really care if it has character creation, as long as it has the option for like, I want a different hairstyle. Like even we were just talking about it, Jedi Survivor upped the ante with the character customization for Cal. You had hairstyles, you had beer styles, you had a top, a bottom.
Give him you can give a turtleneck, some weird fucking skinny jeans, and a man bun if you wanted to.
Or a mullet. Like like there was some good options. So as long as this game doesn't make some like Poindexter looking male protagonist that looks just as bad as the female protagonist, I'm cautiously optimistic about this game now, because prior to this, when they revealed the character face, there was this sigh of just, I don't want to look at that. Like that's not what I want to look at when I play a video game. I'm sorry, call me shallow. I don't care. I don't want to look at that.
It's like the other thing that I keep going back to when people complain about character customization in games like RPGs. Mm-hmm. You're going to wear a helmet.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you're going to have a helmet on. So like,
I mean, most RPGs, I turn on the toggle to like hide helmet. But if there's helmets in this game and both characters are ugly, you better believe I'm not touching that toggle. That toggle's staying on.
It just makes me think of that Rick and Morty episode where they're in the Mad Max universe and that dude finally takes off his helmet and it's just...
Yep. Yeah, that's a great one.
Baby face with a mustache.
Yeah. But all aside from what we've seen, what we've heard, the game sounds on point. Like the art style is on point. Combat sounds like it's on point. Story looks like it could be on point. It really is just that character. So I'm curious to hear more about it. And if and when they debut what this character selection is, honestly, that's going to be the crux on whether or not I buy this game or just sign up for Game Pass to play it at some point in the future or not touch it at all. But that's kind of where I'm at personally with this one.
I'll probably play it just because I like Fable.
I do too. I'd have to skip every cutscene, and that seems like such a
you incessant prick.
Look, man. I don't need my characters to be gorgeous, all right? That's not what I'm getting at, but they need to be at least
to be ugly.
Like, I don't want to be looking at freaking what's his name from Mask or the other guy from Goonies. Like, it just some people are into that. I know I personally have a buddy.
Just give me Black Thumb from Mad Max and I'm set.
I got a buddy that if there's a character creation, his whole thing is making the most monstrous, disgusting, disfigured thing he can. And that's fine. That's fine. It's totally fine. Play the game how you want to play it. I'm not into that. I want my character to at least be appealing to look at. So, I don't know. It seems like they got a great cast for the game. And it is a British studio that's doing it. So, I mean, if anybody gets British humor, it's the Brits, right? So,
I mean, yeah.
Hopefully they nail it. So, what?
It's right on the fucking nose, Russ.
Yeah. What do you expect from me? What do you?
Were the other games, were they developed by a British studio as well, or were they?
I believe Peter Molyneux is
voice actors.
I believe Peter Molyneux was English. Lionhead, I don't remember if they were based out of England or not. Lionhead Studios, were they in English? Yeah, they were based out of Guildford. Yeah, Peter Molyneux.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so they were also, I remember, was it Fable 3? They had John Cleese as like the narrator or something like that. They had a great cast as well. Honestly, Fable has always had great voice acting. So I hope that trend continues. I mean, they got God, I can't remember his name, but they got the guy from IT Crowd in it. So
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I love that guy. He's freaking hilarious. So I'm excited to see what other voice actors they end up throwing in here. Even if I don't play the game, I'll probably maybe watch videos of it. I don't know. Character creation feels like something they should have gone with, but I can see how a racing game studio probably isn't equipped to do that, and they probably couldn't figure it out, or maybe it was too costly to try and figure out. It's not their forte, right? Like, them doing this game alone is way outside of the realm of what they've worked on in the past. So I don't know.
Well, that's kind of why, going back to why I was bringing up the character customization is kind of just like a limb swap and cosmetics. I'm pretty sure it's because their in-house engine doesn't have the capability.
That's my guess.
Else besides that,
yeah, yeah. And as long as they've got hairstyle swaps or something like that, like, the old games, it was a card or whatever that an item you got. And as long as they've got that ability, which seems pretty basic to me, because I don't know. I don't know enough about coding.
In the in-game engine for Forza, the Forza engine. I should just call it Forza engine.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah.
You could literally swap hairstyles by literally just pausing the game. So I don't see what would include hairstyles. I think even the last game, or the last two games, I think even included facial hair.
Gotcha.
Of some sort.
Okay. So that should be feasible. So we'll see what they do. I would like to see a couple of different presets, but I know motion capture makes that kind of hard. We saw that with Spider-Man. When it got its update, they had to actually change out the character model for the updated version of Spider-Man. So that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's where we're at with Fable. Cautiously optimistic again, which is nice. I would like one of my fantasy franchises to not be absolute shit, but we'll talk about Dragon Age later.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, dude. Like, I finished the game. It's not worth playing.
Just literally play the entire game, and again, I referenced this back before we started this. Played the whole game. You're like, man, this game is shit. Played the whole fucking game.
Look, I'm still a fan of the franchise, and I had to know how it ended. And I'm not the guy that's just going to go, I'm going to just Google the end. I'm not that guy. But
I'm
yeah,
that guy.
you are that guy. It has
that guy.
It has a cheap ending. I'm not.
I didn't. I still haven't finished Need for Speed 2015 because the game it just got so fucking bad with all the like cringy IRL cinematic like forced
God, yeah, they
jokes
did
and all
do that,
shit.
didn't
So I
they?
literally
Jesus.
just looked up the fucking ending of the game. And I was like, damn, this is garbage. I was like, well, I'm done playing this.
Yeah.
I uninstalled it.
I also I didn't have anything else better to play until S.T.A.L.K.E.R, right? Like I was already invested into it as much as I was. So I was like, just play this until S.T.A.L.K.E.R came out, and it kind of worked out perfectly. Yeah. But speaking of S.T.A.L.K.E.R, let's talk about it. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2. Footage on screen is my footage I recorded earlier today. It was the first time I got a chance to play the game. I have been swamped working on the bathroom trying to get it ready for S.T.A.L.K.E.R and worked for very long yesterday and the day before to get it done. But I got to play some S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 earlier. I'm going to play more tonight. Freaking loving the game. So the footage you can see on screen, there's been a lot of people talking about bugs and glitches and performance issues. You can see my performance stats on screen right now. I didn't really dip below 60 FPS the entire time. CPU and GPU utilization was pretty reasonable. This game, to me, was more optimized than Dragon Age. Dragon Age, I was dipping into like 40s and 50s quite often, sometimes lower.
Yeah.
But I have not, and I've only played for about an hour and a half. I've not experienced any bugs personally. I haven't experienced any performance issues personally. I am on an AMD card though, and I wonder if that has something to do with it, because Mike, that has not been your experience.
No, but like I was saying when we had the conversation earlier today, I'm also kind of in an oddball spot because my setup is a RTX 4090 hooked up to my laptop, which is an AMD laptop over before. So that's super technical. Basically, 4090 make laptop go burr faster.
Thanks for dumbing it down for me. Yeah, thank you. I needed that.
But when you do this setup, you do kind of lose some performance because you're limited to the bandwidth of USB.
Got it.
So like if you think of like your phone and like moving stuff from your phone to your PC and back, depending on which cable you use, sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's instant. It just depends on the cable and like the spec. So it's a similar situation. That being said, the performance degradation that I'm getting isn't really too bad to be like to consider it as like an overall problem, if that makes sense. But I am seeing a lot of the same problems that other NVIDIA users are reporting, where if I stand still, the game is fine. The game feels really smooth. All the actual animations and the simulation that happens within the game is super smooth. It doesn't look like there's any sort of slowdowns or any sort of stuttering. But the second I move my mouse or my controller camera, I've used even the touchpad on my laptop just to make sure like it's not the mouse. My frame times and my frame rate would drop to like an abysmally disruptive level. And it gets better apparently as you leave the prologue area. It gets better, but there's still instances like if I'm in a gunfight with 9 boars, which we'll get to that in a second, I will get that dip again. And apparently it's happening more to NVIDIA players than it is to AMD players, which doesn't make sense. I thought it was because of upscaling. So I initially did some testing to found that it wasn't because of the upscaling. Then I thought it was because of frame gen. So I would switch between DLSS and FSR, and that made no difference. I mean, it did, but not a good difference. It made the game run worse. So re-enabling frame gen seems to be the workaround for now.
Gotcha.
Other than that, I mean, that's really the only NVIDIA specific thing that I've come across.
So I know early reports, Tim had said, and I wanted to play this Wednesday on launch, but like I said, just other stuff, right? Life, other responsibilities. Tim had said people were saying it's the buggiest launch they've seen in a long time. I think he pulled that from somebody from Rock Paper Shotgun said that, which is.
I feel like Rock Paper Shotgun always says stupid shit like that.
Yeah, they used to be a really good source, and I feel like they sold, and now they're not really as reliable and good as they used to be. I don't see. I like I said, I'm only an hour and a half in. I will continue to play. Obviously, I've been looking forward to this game for years. I'll be playing it again some more tonight. Probably stream it over on the Discord. I haven't seen anything like that, and I'm playing currently the prologue area, which is what I played at PAX. Where this video ends is basically what I played at PAX to avoid spoilers. I don't see it. I don't see people saying this is the buggiest game that I've played in a long time. CD Projekt Red released Cyberpunk 2077, and that was a buggy mess to the point where it was more of a comedy than anything else. I can't imagine people experiencing that level of broken mechanics. Dude, go look at old videos. Like there's Adam's hammer just like freaking slides through closed doors, and like it's insane. It's comical. Granted, the game is fantastic now.
Yeah, my favorite bug from Cyberpunk 2077 that got a lot of people banned on Twitch is because the game has nudity.
Yes, yeah.
And what would end up happening is they would be fully clothed and like get on the motorcycle, and then their character would just T-pose and just be naked.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, that was so like people saying like, oh, it's the buggiest first person shooter I've played in a long time. I'm like, well, is it?
Not even.
Is it really, or are you just saying shit? I will continue to play this game and report back as I go through it. For me, currently, as the game sits, this is the most optimized game I've played at launch this year. And honestly, just everything about this game has it getting my game of the year currently. So we'll see if that changes as it goes on. You did run into a bug potentially.
The only I don't want to say game breaking, but I'll say immersion breaking. The only immersion breaking bug that I'm getting is spawn bugs. So the most common one that I'm getting is I'll go into an enemy encampment, clear it out, and then I'll literally turn around, just move my camera 180 degrees, and like 9 boars will spawn and just start railing me to death. Like I just wasted all my ammo. I'm low on health. The plan is to go back to that town, that beginning town that you start at in the lesser zone, re-up, and then go and do another encampment. But no, it'll spawn like random creatures or random a new set of enemies or something and just start destroying you. And I guess you looked it up and you said that it's a pretty common bug right now. So hopefully that's going to be fixed soon, because it is annoying as fuck.
I imagine the team is probably in full bug fix mode right now. They have a post on their store page that says, hey, if you encounter an anomaly, bug, right, report, this is how to do it, and you have an option when you launch this game to submit those bugs automatically. You can opt into sending them your data, which for me, I'm like, yeah, whatever, take what you want.
I really don't care.
Yeah, take what you want to make the game better.
Our faces are all over Twitch and YouTube, and we use Facebook and Twitter.
We don't have privacy. We don't have any of that. Like if you are on the internet in any capacity, verbally or visually, your privacy's gone.
You're done.
Yeah. So I haven't experienced that yet. I will be playing more tonight. Like I said, I'm looking forward to it. I think the voice acting is pretty phenomenal in this. I think most people are probably not going to think that, because it is voiced by Ukrainians, and this is just kind of actually genuinely how they talk when they speak English, which to us as Americans probably sounds a little broken and a little weird, but that's actually just normal.
It's not that it comes across broken or weird, because Chris and I were talking about it more after we left, and it's more like it comes across less enunciated and drier. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like they'll say a sentence, and in the subtitles, there's clearly a comma where the sentence is, but when they speak it, they don't gap that. They just continue.
Yeah.
Like they don't do the attenuation for it.
It's probably just comes down to like differences in language, right? Like Ukrainian language probably doesn't do that, would be my guess.
Yeah.
But
I'm
overall,
not too stressed about it.
yeah, overall, the game looks gorgeous. I'm very happy with its performance on my rig. I can't speak to, the bugs that you're running into or the performance issues you're running into. I don't know if other NVIDIA users are running into those same things. The one issue... Go ahead.
Honestly, even with all the micro stutters and the frame pacing issues I'm having, this is still going to be like game of the year for me.
Yeah, I think so. It's... The only issue, the only drawback, the only complaint I have about this game right now as it sits is something Mike actually pointed out to me when I streamed this section of the game earlier. This is a direct console port. You cannot change the key bindings on PC, which is a telltale sign of a game that was ported from the console to the PC. And that's really disappointing.
To clarify... Sorry.
Good.
I was just saying to kind of elaborate on that a little more. If you think of Ubisoft games, all of their stuff is a quote unquote console port, but they modify the port enough to add the key bindings and the graphic settings, which technically makes it a fork. If you think of like it's a two-way street, one is for the console, one is for the PC. This one's literally just a copy paste.
Yep.
You can't change the key binds. At this point, we're lucky to even change the graphic settings.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I'm hoping that's something that'll get updated for the PC side, right? Like there's always, whenever you develop a console game that's also on PC, you're going to do a lot more of the bug fixes on the PC side than you will the console side because you're developing for a million different versions of hardware versus the console.
It goes back to what we had initially said when we first started the podcast over everything is kind of an 80%, 20% split. You want to get 80% coverage to people that are able to play the game, and then you want 20% to be bug fixes. Yeah,
if they can hit that, that's great. Most games don't. I would say that Stalker 2 probably gets pretty close to that, but I don't know for sure. The gameplay overall, I'm playing on the medium difficulty, the Stalker difficulty. It feels great, honestly. Like the original Stalker game was so difficult, even on its easiest setting, that like Souls fans would like the original Stalker. It was brutal. It was fucking brutal. And they've improved the formula in every way on this game, on this release, and it's so awesome. I personally paid for the $100 version mostly because I'm a fan of the franchise, because I think the developers deserve it for what they went through, not only what they went through, how they managed to deliver what we got with what they went through. Yeah. As
they
well
had to
as
basically full refugee just like bug out to a refuge area to finish the game.
Yeah. There's we mentioned it before, there's a free documentary on YouTube called War Game. Very, very heart-wrenching development process for those guys. It's hard to watch, but a really great visual of kind of life over there. So I recommend that for anybody that's interested in this game, because Stalker has a very interesting history. And they kind of touch on that as well, beyond just like the current climate of things and stuff going on in the game. But I don't really have a whole lot more to say, man. I haven't played enough to really say. The one thing that does bug me, doesn't really bug me, but it takes some time to get used to, is Q and E are not your lean keys in this game on computer. Those are your health pack and your like anti-radiation stims, and it's Z and C that actually leans you, which once you get used to it, it really does feel great. But I still constantly, I said this at PAX too, I constantly find myself accidentally hitting those Q and E keys and using supplements and things like that. But
we did find out that if you accidentally hit those keys and then open your PDA, it will actually break the animation and it will not consume the item. So.
Yeah. So that's also very helpful. So if you accidentally eat food with full health, just hit your M key, which is your map, and it breaks it and keeps you from consuming that. So that's very cool. Yeah. There is a multiplayer planned. They have not said a whole lot beyond that. It's going to come sometime after release, so between now and whenever. But that will be coming at the end of time. That'll be coming at some point, and supposedly this is pretty cool. Within the first 48 hours, I think they reportedly sold over 1 million copies. So
yeah, they tweeted that they sold 1 million copies.
This game, which is arguably like a very niche shooter, I don't think most of the people that bought this game really knew what they were getting into. They probably just saw FPS and were like, oh yeah, it's COD, or whatever their thought process was. Yeah. But like, I can't imagine there was 1 million people out there that were fans of the S.T.A.L.K.E.R franchise. If there was, it's great. But as of right now, and I can't find any creditation for this, VGinsights.com says that they've sold 1.9 million units as of right now, which is almost, it almost doubled, right, since the first 48 hours, which is insane.
Again, this doesn't include Game Pass. This is straight sales.
This is straight sales, which is insane considering this game is on Game Pass. So
yeah,
that's pretty cool. Congrats to GSC for that. Their estimated gross revenue from the sales so far is $90.5 million. They've almost made $100 million on this game, which is
Jesus.
Considering how little Dragon Age Veilguard sold and its development time. I'm gonna keep driving this home, man. I'm gonna keep punching. I'm
not BioWare.
I don't hear no bell, god damn it.
Oh my god.
Get your shit together, BioWare. But if you haven't gotten S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, I highly recommend it. The game is phenomenal. It just is. And I know I've only played an hour of it, but I fully believe what I've played so far is what you can expect to enjoy the whole way through.
And even if you don't have the full $60 or $70, I think this is the time of year where Game Pass has that intro month for $1.
Yeah.
So you could literally just do the intro month for $1, play the game.
Yeah.
See how you like it.
Yeah. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 is a thoughtful shooter. I like to think of it. That's how the original one, it is a survival game in its purest sense. You really have to consider the resources you have, what it's going to take to get through your engagement, whether or not that's going to be worth it. There will be enemies in this game that if you go in and just decide, yeah, we're just going to go in here and not think about it and just go blazing, you will die, or you'll survive and wish you would have died because it wasn't worth it to do that in the first place. So it's not your just run in guns blazing. You're not some action hero crazy guy. You die very easily in this game. And if you think that's bad, go play the first S.T.A.L.K.E.R because it's so much harder.
I just imagine some like hardcore OG S.T.A.L.K.E.R players just playing this game like, man, this is a fucking walk in the park.
I mean, dude, for anybody that's like a true veteran who played the original S.T.A.L.K.E.Rs on like the hardest difficulties, they probably put this on the hardest the second it started and was like, oh shit, these guys actually, like, you can see where they were? Holy shit, this is easy. In the original S.T.A.L.K.E.R, the invisible guys, they were truly invisible in the original game. You could not see them. You had no spatial audio because that wasn't a thing in 2007. So you had a rough guess of they're either left or right of your current visual location. Good luck. So the process that I did when encountering that was I ran away. If I didn't have to fight them, I didn't. I just left. So yeah, you know,
nope, the fuck out of there.
Basically, just like, oh, it's one of these guys. Nope, I'm not even gonna try. Yeah, the original game was fun, but it was very brutal. I think a lot of hard games drew its inspiration from that. I mean, Escape from Tarkov, the whole extraction shooter thing kind of came from S.T.A.L.K.E.R. So it's really cool to see them keep kind of this loot mechanic that we come to know and love. And the quote unquote gun porn, I haven't seen how deep it goes in this, but I know, you know, if you're really into guns,
there's
Escape
attachments
from, yeah,
stuff that you can really get into.
Yeah, I don't know if it goes as deep as Tarkov does, because I know Tarkov goes a little insane with attachments and stuff like that, and like custom building your guns. I know the original S.T.A.L.K.E.R at the time went very deep into that, but I haven't gotten far enough in this one to know. But yeah, that's S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, and I'm very happy with my purchase. I don't like spending more than $60 on video games this day and age, but buying the Ultimate Edition of this game felt right to me. So that is all I've got on S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2. Mike, any final thoughts on that before we jump into our quick fire for the night?
Not really. Oh well, I guess that little thing that I was trying to do before you left. Pro
Oh,
tip: if you're playing the prologue, uh, right when you put down or right before you put down the scanner in the third location, there's like a tower off to the right outside of a wall. In the garage there's a little safe. I put some of my items in there to see if it would save it, because after the guy hits you and like the title screen goes in, you end up going back there with your newfound friend, and it kept 50% of what I put in there.
that's pretty good.
So, yeah, so I put like I want to say like 15, 20 things in there, from like food to like radiation pills to like a couple guns. And it gave me back one of my guns, a bunch of ammo, and like all of my food.
I wonder if that's a glitch that'll get fixed, or if that's something they're just going to let exist, because that's kind of cool. That's a good little pro tip.
Yeah. I did that in front of Chris, and he was like, I mean, it sucks that they took your stuff, but it's still a better start than just a knife and a pistol. And I was like, you're damn right.
Yep. Yes, sir. Because that's what you start with after the tutorial section. You get your pistol and a knife and nothing else. So, all right. Let's jump into some quick fire news. Mike, why don't you go ahead and start us off with some fighter game news, I guess?
Yeah. So, like 30 years ago, back on the Sega, was it Sega Genesis? I think is what it was.
Sega Saturn. Not quite that old.
Sega Saturn, yeah, Sega Saturn. There's a game that came out called Fighters Mega Mix, which was kind of sort of the same thing as like Marvel versus Capcom. It was just a bunch of fighters from different generations of Sega's fighting games, kind of mashed into an amalgamation that this game turned out to be. And there was I don't know if I would necessarily call it a hidden stage, but there's this area in one of the maps where if you hit a wall really hard, the wall breaks. Or if you hit an enemy fighter and you do like the takedown move, and it happens to push them through the wall, it would crash the game. Like, to the point that the console would crash. And no one really understood why until the guy who was the lead developer on this game is actually a technical developer for Like a Dragon. And he came out and said that the stage was added, but it wasn't necessarily like a hidden little area. It was kind of just like a hollowed out spot, so like you could do the wall breaking thing. And he couldn't fix the crash, and it was to the point where like they were selling multiple versions of the game, because they were like, okay, new patch, okay, let's sell this version of the game, new patch, sell this version of the game. So for years this guy has been trying to patch that back then, and he couldn't do it. And he said in the interview that he got to a point where he was just like depressed as hell that he spent all this time, and he fucking broke his own game because of one little cinematic of like breaking a wall. And yeah, so that's just neat little tidbits of stuff from the history of video games.
Yeah. My brother, I was talking to him a while ago, and I don't remember the first thing he said, but we were talking about game design and game development. And he said game development comes down to two things. It comes down to intent, I think was the first one he said, but the big one is regret. That's the second one in game design. And it's not regret because you made a mistake. It's regret that comes much later, when you realize at the beginning of development you made a mistake. And this sounds like a primary example of that, where you chose something that you thought was good and great, and it turns out months, years, however long later that, oh shit, because I did this is broken and there is no fixing it. And that is game design, according to my brother. Yep. Regret.
And this was during a time where like the internet was just starting to catch on. So like I believe the Sega Saturn had the ability to go online.
I know the Dreamcast did. I don't remember if the Saturn... Yeah. I imagine it did, because I think the Saturn was after the Dreamcast, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the 90s.
Well, I know that. And,
But not everybody had, the capability to hook that shit up to the internet. So they couldn't just release a patch that removed the level. So he would routinely try and just patch
Saturn
a piece
was
of code that would break.
Saturn was 94, Dreamcast was 98. Dreamcast was Sega's last console. So no, the Saturn did not have online support.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking I flipped him again.
Yeah.
So yeah, you couldn't just download a patch. Like shit doesn't work like that. So he literally, him and his team kept developing a patch that would get flashed onto the disk, and then there would be, version 2, version 3, version 4, however many revisions that they put out for this S.T.A.L.K.E.R cartridge. I forget what this has. And it spun him into a depression. He was straight up. He was like, if I didn't have my team, like I just given up. I would have fucked this. Just left it in the bin. So yeah, now he works on the Yakuza series.
Good for him. Moved on, got over it.
He doesn't do that again.
Hopefully. Nowadays, though, he can update it online, so at least they don't have to push out multiple versions.
Yeah. He's the technical director, so he can get that shit out quick.
There you go. I mean, after all that work, he probably would be. That makes sense. Yeah. All right. So moving on, what do we got next?
It is the Virtua Fighter is basically just Virtua Fighter 5.
The new Virtua Fighter? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a new version of Virtua Fighter 5.
Basically, yes. That's the entire quick fire of that. It's Virtua Fighter 5, but PC edition.
There you go. Not a new Virtua Fighter, apparently. Thanks, Sega. PlayStation Portal is beta testing cloud streaming. I believe this is starting now. You can opt into this if you have the PlayStation Portal, which means that you can theoretically play your games anywhere. 720p connection or quality is going to require 7 megabytes download speed. I don't buy that for a heartbeat. And 1080p is going to require 1080p is only going to require 13. So I don't buy either of those, but that's their claims online. The patch,
are they saying that? Sorry, are they saying like the frame rate or just the resolution? Because 720p at like 25 or 30 frames per second, I can believe at 8 megabits per second, or like 1080p at like 30 frames per second, I can believe 13 megabits per second download. But like that would be an awful fucking experience.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. So it says here you'll be able to stream over 120 PS5 games at up to 1080p and 60 frames per second, and save your data will automatically save to your console. I don't know, man. We're gonna have to ask Tim to try this out because he's got a PlayStation Portal, so he's gonna have to go somewhere that has like 13 meg connection and see what he does.
Turn on your T-Mobile hotspot and let us know.
Yes.
The other thing I'm thinking is because PSSR, right?
Mm-hmm.
The PlayStation Super Resolution thing.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they've managed to find a way to implement that into their video encoding and decoding, so they're actually able to stream the same quality at a lower bit rate.
That's a good question. I don't know. It's a very good question. Well,
that's what NVIDIA 40 series does when you stream to YouTube. You get lower bit rate with better or same quality as the old way to do it.
Gotcha. Well, moving right along, I guess we'll find out. Tim, you're going to have to try that out for us and let us know. MetaQuest has some news from Microsoft. What do you got for us, Mike?
They are basically going into the full suite of Office 365, as well as just using a seamless integration technique. So it's no longer... hopefully you don't have to download like 90 billion drivers to fucking run it on your computer. It should be mostly plug and play now. You probably don't even need to download QuestLink. It should just stream to your headset wirelessly if your internet can take it. The other side of that is the Office 365 suites. So like business-oriented people that are using PC cloud tech, logging into Office 365, clicking on their like cloud air quote PC, will now just stream directly to the headset. I don't know if that's like gonna need. So this is where I'm getting kind of tripped up on it, because the Quest 3 and the Quest 3S are good, but they're not amazing.
Right.
So even doing something like NVIDIA GeForce Now is really hit or miss on them, unless you're like sitting like right next to your fucking Wi-Fi. So what I'm wondering is if, because Microsoft is releasing a little like a Nook box that's literally just a stream PC. There's no fucking hardware in it. It's literally just you turn it on, it connects to your Office 365 account, and then it streams your PC from the cloud to the box. So I'm wondering if it's like going to be something like that.
Well, the good news is
app, basically.
This is one I can try once this goes live. This is supposed to come out next month, which is, there's too many ways to connect a MetaQuest to a PC now.
Yeah,
like there's so many ways now.
You wanted all the ways to do it. Now you have it. Like, why are you complaining?
Because I'm wondering about optimization and like integration. So for example, that streaming thing, right? If you have Windows 365 operating system as a service, software as a service model, and you're streaming it to your headset, do I still need a mouse and keyboard? How does the interface work with Oculus at that point? Am I using... Like it raises Oculus, a lot of questions.
Well, if you remember Oculus before Facebook bought them and turned them into Meta, they were working on hand tracking.
Right. Yeah. Which is a thing. Yeah.
If you think of like pinch to click and like you can just point and that'll be your mouse pointer. You know what I mean?
But like,
and then if you like
gaming purposes,
actual like keyboard will pull up.
For gaming purposes, I'm wondering how that would work. Right. So if I launch
back to, if you're using a PC in the cloud, which if you're doing that, you're probably working for somebody that is utilizing this piece of software.
Right.
Why are you trying to play games on it?
Well, I mean more for my situation, right? So like with Steam Link, when I use Steam Link, that is a gaming interface for the MetaQuest, so I can play the games. If I decide to use this and just stream my my PC to my Quest, I'm then launching Steam and then launching my VR game or whatever game I'm trying to play, not in that VR space. So like it becomes an interesting question of like how those link together. I'm sure they'll figure it out.
I think the gist of it is that they're trying to eliminate the middleman of like when you hook up your Oculus or your MetaQuest, whatever, to your PC, Steam Link opens, but so does Quest Link.
Yeah.
So the idea is if they're going seamless and plug and play, quote unquote, it might download the VR drivers specifically for the headset, but then you don't need Quest Link.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
It'll just work.
Yeah. There's also some good Black Friday deals, I think, on them right now, right?
Yes, that I totally should have looked at, and I didn't. So if you have it open,
I don't.
Totally read those out.
There's some Black Friday sales for it, which is honestly probably past at this point, unless you're watching this live, since this comes out on Tuesday for our Patreon and Wednesday for our public. There was some Black Friday deals. I don't know if there still is.
Yeah, I mean, Black Friday is this upcoming Friday. It's not yesterday. So
right. But when these comes out,
these deals are live now and they go through to until Cyber Monday.
Sure. Yeah.
Which, if you waited out Cyber Monday, I'll probably have better deals. But
potentially
PSVR 2, so it's not just the Quest headsets, it's all of the VR headsets that are popular.
Gotcha.
PSVR 2 is down to $349 at Amazon, and it comes with a free copy of Horizon Call of the Mountain, which is that weird Horizon Zero Dawn, not Horizon Zero Dawn game.
You take that back. It's not weird.
The HTC Vive 2 Pro is $400 off at B&H. I've never shopped at B&H. I know they're reputable. I just have never dealt with them. And if you want a mixed reality headset for some reason, which, by the way, Microsoft is appreciating mixed reality. So at some point within the next year and a half, your PC will no longer have mixed reality. The HTC Vive XR Elite will be the same. For the same price of $799 at Amazon. Then why the fuck did you include it?
What a great... Hey, one more we can add to this list. The Valve Index is still the price of the Valve Index, so it's on sale too.
Oh, God. The MetaQuest 3 is not getting any splashes on it, but it looks like there is a bundle that's going to get thrown out for Batman Arkham Shadow and a 3-month subscription to Quest Plus, which gives you access to rotating catalog of VR games.
Yeah. It's not a bad deal. I've debated getting it a couple of times, but I haven't because I still need my Pro Tube revolver. Anyways, there's other sales going on because it's Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all that good stuff. So if you need tech, now's the time to look at maybe buying some stuff.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I scrolled down. So the Vive 2 Pro, $400. What they didn't mention is if you get the full kit, if you get the whole fucking kit, it's $799 on sale. The Vive XR Elite is also $799 on sale. The kit was previously $1,200, and the XR Elite was previously $1,100. They just didn't specify that in the paragraphs. That's why I was just like, why are you fucking mentioning that if it's the same price?
1% asked if I was going to buy him some tech. No. I'm broke. I've been spending all my money on a bathroom.
And not even for tech.
Not even for tech, just to have a bathroom.
Not even a TV in there, man. What the fuck?
He says 20 years of friendship for this. I'll buy you a video game. How about that? I'll return the favor of Final Fantasy 16 to you, which I still need to play because God damn it, that game. Anyways,
just go to the GameStop $10 bin. Those are really good.
Tell you what, this one's for you, 1%. I'll buy this for you. Coming to mobile sometime next year, Final Fantasy 14 is releasing on the phone. That's right. A Final Fantasy MMO is coming to mobile, and it's the perfect price of $3.99. So I'll pick that one up for you, 1%.
Just give him your phone, and he'll buy it.
Yep.
Air quotes.
There we go. So I don't know why they've chosen to do this. They're partnering with, I believe the company is called Lightspeed. Yes, Lightspeed Studio, which is a Tencent owned studio. It's coming to PC, coming to mobile in China first, because apparently that's where everything goes first, because it's Tencent, I guess. It will be free to play. It will only be the 2.0 version of the game, which means start of the game up to Heavensward, nothing after Heavensward, nothing in Heavensward. It ends where 2.0 ends. Has no gacha mechanics, has no crossplay. So I assume it's dedicated servers. Sounds like it's going to be a dubbed down version in the sense that there isn't everything you can do in the MMO in the PC and console based version, but like most of it, they specifically call out they're retaining lifestyle content, namely fishing, triple triad, and chocobo racing. So I don't know if that means you're still going to have crafting classes, if you're still going to have a bunch of other stuff. They seem to suggest that will come. But I'm with you on this 1%. I don't know who this is for. I don't know who wants to play a MMO, specifically Final Fantasy 14, on a phone. I don't feel like that would be a fun experience, but that's just me.
It's like Warframe just came out with their mobile port, and on iPhone it runs great, but like I try to play it and it's fucking abysmal. There's too much shit happening on the screen.
I feel like Final Fantasy 14 would be the same thing, and the fact that it doesn't have any, like you can't play your paid account characters on the mobile, so it's an entirely like start over. I genuinely don't understand this choice. It's interesting.
I wonder if this is just to start for the test phase, and then later on they'll actually like implement the entire system back in.
I imagine that's,
or they could be shitty because it's Tencent. They could be like, no gotcha, but then like after the test phase is over, they're like, you want to play the rest of the game? $30.
I like I said, do you know what? To be fair, like I said on the last episode, I have no problem with paying for a game on mobile as long as it's the game and no other bullshit. Like I'm fine with that. I'll never play it because I've started KOTOR about 30 times and still, look, I beat the game to death when it was new. So like, there's nothing new for me in that game. So I don't know. I bought it because I love the game.
Has there been anything else about that fucking remake?
Fingers crossed we get something from Sony later next month at the Game Awards.
How wild would it be if it was like KOTOR remake dropping Christmas Day?
I'd shit myself. I That would be pretty big news. That would be like announcing Tenchu. Sony, please. Speaking of great games, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered. I talked about it on the podcast here with Tim.
Way to just skip over Veilguard.
We'll get to Veilguard. Don't worry about that. But that can just backseat for a minute. We'll get there.
I thought you were gonna go full sarcastic. Fucking speaking of great games.
No, we'll get to speaking of great games in a minute. Yeah. But the Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver Remastered 1 and 2, Embracer Group has reported that pre-orders far exceeded their expectations. So fingers crossed that gives them the data they need to hopefully make a third one in this franchise. A new Soul Reaver game would be pretty fucking awesome.
Wait, this is an Embracer Group?
It is. Embracer owns the Legacy of Kain IP, yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, they also own KOTOR.
Yeah.
So
I kind of can see them taking this data and making a third game, but I can also see them royally fucking up the third game.
I mean, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. You know,
let's fucking hope.
Yeah, I got my fingers crossed. The remakes or the remasters are the game. Like they're awesome. They're adding some new mechanics. They're adding a map and compass, which can be turned off if you want the original feel to the game. But those will be there for like quality of life changes.
I was when I was 9.
I'm gonna go jump around. What's this do?
I want to be stuck in the same fucking corridor for 10 hours.
That's part of the charm of those games. Trying to figure it out.
Yes.
If you never played the Legacy of Kain games, if you never played Soul Reaver, I cannot encourage you enough to buy this game. These are pivotal games when vampires were vampires and shit was cool and things were fun. They are just nostalgic to me personally, but I firmly believe that these games still hold up as quality games. So released on PC and PS4 and Xbox One and PS5 and Xbox Series X and S and Nintendo Switch. It's $29.99. It's not inexpensive, and they're worth every penny in my opinion.
Just go down the list. And mobile.
And Sega Genesis.
And Stadia. And GeForce Now.
And Henry Cavalier. But speaking of great games, Dragon Age got completely shut out at the Game Awards. Didn't get nominated for a single category. And I gotta say, good, but it at least should have gotten like a category for great voice acting, because that's the only thing that game has going for it. So voice actors were amazing. That's it. That's all.
Clearly we don't care about that, because what's his face said voice actors aren't real actors.
Who said this?
Remember that shit? It was like a while ago, and it was a bunch of like head executives over in like one of the major fucking like TV publishers. They were like, we wouldn't consider voice actors for their IRL TV show counterparts because voice actors aren't real actors, and everyone was like, who the fuck are you?
Okay. Well, fuck that guy. So yeah, that's pretty much it for tonight. I am going to play some more Stalker 2 later, but right now we're going to head over to the Patreon side, and Mike's going to tell us a little story about a game that unfortunately never released. We're going to find out more about that and kind of the... I
got to figure out how to stretch 2 paragraphs into the 15-minute fucking subject.
We've got other stuff to talk about over there too. He's going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the upcoming games, and as always, you can get access to all of that for just $3 a month plus early access to it. Comes out on Tuesday, so head over to patreon.com/coindroppod. $3 a month, you get it 4 times a month. Jesus, 4 times a week would be insane.
Yeah, that's a lot for a little money.
Yeah, it's still a lot for a little money if you consider it. It's actually like what, 0.8 cents for like each episode.
I don't know.
You just stared blankly at me like, where the fuck's he going with this? All right, everyone, have a great night. For our patrons, we'll see you over there. Catch you next time. Oh, and Mike, there it is. Thanks.